So as I talked about, guys, in my last video, here's some Anno 2070. It is there for you. Although we're not going to be talking about it, we're going to be talking about something I get asked all the time, and that is, how can I calculate how much money I'm going to make on YouTube this month, or how can I calculate how much money I'm going to make on YouTube in this month, or how can I calculate how much money Philip DeFranco makes? I'm going to help you get there. I've been in YouTube for a long time, guys, and I've kind of picked up on a lot of how the money works in YouTube. So I thought I'd go ahead and share because, I get asked a lot about, trying to help out YouTubers, how much money can I really expect to earn? And I always answer the question when I get asked, but here's a video. Hopefully it helps you out. I'm going to be breaking it down in a nutshell. Also, I'm going to talk about the videos that make the most money, and it's going to make sense later on, but we're going to go ahead and get to that. Now, if you're new to the channel, there's some Anno 2070. I talked about it in my last video. I thought it was an awesome game, and I wanted to cover it a little bit. So here's the second part of the video that I started. So if you want to see the first part of this Let's Play of Anno, then check out the other video before this. Hopefully that helps. I think I'll toss the link in the description. Don't hope for it, I guess, because I oftentimes forget. But yeah, this is it. I'm not going to be talking about Anno, though. It's there, and go ahead and enjoy. It's a great game. So let's go ahead and dive right into the first thing here. It's going to be complicated. I apologize. This is like my third time recording this video, or even fourth. But it's just because it gets so complicated trying to calculate your views. It's not even complicated. It's just explaining it gets complicated. So I'm going to just roll with it this time. If it gets complicated, I apologize in advance. It's just not something that's super easy to explain, but it's easy once you know how to do it. So let's just dive right in. So two terms you're going to need to know, RPM and CPM. They're used all the time in the YouTube industry, and really any monetization, industry, they're really used commonly. CPM is what you've probably heard of. RPM, I was very confused by just a couple months ago because I'd never heard it before. But RPM is the correct term for how much a YouTuber makes. It stands for revenue per 1,000. That M at the end there, I know it doesn't actually stand for 1,000 in English, but in Latin it does. So that's what that is, that RPM versus CPM. CPM stands for cost per 1,000, but RPM makes more sense, and this is why. Because you're not going to be getting the cost, the end cost there, or the beginning cost doesn't just go to you. There's a lot of cuts before you. For instance, once the ad is actually run on your channel, and let's say that ad is worth $20 per 1,000, or for 1,000 impressions, which is really nice. That's a $20 CPM or RPM. There's actually a cut from YouTube, which is an undisclosed cut. They don't really say how much they take, but that's fine because they're the ones that are getting those ads, and it's a great service, right? You're basically giving up a little money to make all the money. Without them, you couldn't make any. So it makes sense. Nobody really complains about that, but that's kind of a little cut that's taken. And then if you're with a network, which most people are, networks are awesome. I've talked about why they're awesome in the past, but that network's most likely going to take a cut unless you're a big fish or you're a great negotiator. The network's going to take a cut. Maybe it's a percentage cut like a lot of people are doing these days, or maybe it's just a locked-in CPM and you're guaranteed to make $3, $4, $5 from your videos. So regardless, there's a lot of cuts before you. So CPM doesn't make sense. RPM does, because it's the revenue. It's the end amount that you're going to make for your videos. That's the amount of cash you're going to receive for your views. So I'm going to be using RPM. A lot of people have switched to using RPM just because that's the right term. So I might actually say CPM because I've just said it for a long time, but I'm going to try to use RPM. So this is basically how it works. When you're signing your contract with a network, they're going to negotiate an 80% or a 20% revenue cut with them. You get the bigger amount usually. If you're not getting the bigger amount, then I don't know what's going on. But usually you're going to be getting that 80 to 20, and you're going to be getting the 80 side of it. And that's going to be how it works. So as a YouTuber, what you can expect jumping into YouTube right now, if your channel was partnered, expect a $1 to $3 CPM. Actually, a 2 to 3. I think a 1 is a little bit too low. A $2 to $3 CPM is pretty good as a brand new YouTuber. Even now, I'm in that range of $2 to $3, a little bit more maybe, but that's just me personally. And I've been doing YouTube for a while. I have friends who make $10+ CPMs, through other networks. And your CPM or RPM isn't just determined by your actual, ads on your videos. You could have a sponsor like, I have GoDaddy who sponsors me, and I get a little bit of money, every time someone signs up for a domain. I don't push it in a big way. I don't really even mention it in most of my videos, but the link's there, I guess, plugging it. But that's another way you can make money off of your videos. Once you get a little bigger, companies say, hey, we're GoDaddy. can you, work with us here? We'll pay you some money if, once people buy our product, or in this case, buy a domain, and you get a little bit of that cut. So that's another way to make money. But, I have friends who get a $10 CPM, Philip DeFranco, other YouTubers are going to be making more and more, but it all depends on their contract. And that just varies a lot. So as a big YouTuber, I would say $10 is a good CPM. As a starting out YouTuber, $2 to $3 is pretty solid. Even with Machinima these days, $3 is pretty good, as other networks go on that side. So anything less than $2, you got to be, negotiating, looking out a little bit. Maybe, if you're at a percent revenue where you're getting a 60-40, but you're only getting about a $3 CPM or a $1 CPM, say, hey, I need more money for this. This is how I'm making my money. What can we do? What can we do for this revenue split? Can we get more my way? Is that a possibility? And oftentimes it is. So, just negotiate that out. But $2 to $3, like I said, just pretty average as far as YouTubing goes. So let's move on here to our next idea. So let's say your channel gets 100,000 views in a month. You have a $3 CPM. Break it down, move the decimals over. You should expect about $300 per thousand. So you just take that 100,000, divide it by 100. There you go. You have, or divide it by, what do you divide it by? I don't know. You have a $100 CPM at a $100 at a $1 CPM. So you multiply it by 3, and you have a $3 CPM, and you have $300. I hope that makes sense. But however you want to figure out the math in your head, in my head it works out really well. Basically, what I do is I take 100,000 views, go ahead and move the decimal over so it's 100, and then times it by 3, so you have 300, and then that's a $3 CPM. I hope that makes sense. I don't want to restart the video trying to explain it, but that's really what all there is to it. And then you have that. Now this is where it gets a little tricky. If it's been tricky so far, I apologize, but it's about to get a little more tricky. So even though, that sounds like, oh, okay, I'm going to get $300 this month for my videos, you're not. And that's just how it is. Even though you got 100,000 views, you got a $3 CPM, you may be wondering, oh, why am I not going to get $300? Or is someone else taking a cut, or is whatever happening? This is what happens. Not all your views are monetized. So I would say about 50 to 80% of your views actually get monetized. And what I mean by that is if someone uses ad block, the YouTuber doesn't earn the money. If someone's watching it on a mobile platform that does not support ads, it's getting a little better with mobile platforms. In the past, we used to not earn money at all from mobile views, and now we're starting to get them from iPhone and Android a little bit. But that's a little tricky too, because mobile views may not be on the same terms as a desktop view. So that's a little tricky in and of itself, but it is getting better. So mobile views aren't always supported by ads. Additionally, if you have a big website and that's how you get most of your views through website embeds, you're not going to be getting ads running on those as of right now. Maybe in the future, but right now you don't get money from that. So it depends on how you get your views. For me, I get about 70% or so-ish, depending on the month. Some months it's 50%, some months it's 90%. But I think 70 to 80% is a good, mark. I think 70 is probably a little closer of about how much of your views are actually monetized. So then once you have your $300, take 70% of that, and bam, there you have it. I don't know. I think that's like $230 or so. I think that's reasonable. I don't think that's too high. Maybe it is a little high, but that'll give you a rough estimate. If you want to be really cautious about, trying to get the low end of how much you're going to make and kind of plan for the worst, take, whatever you think you're going to make and divide it in half because of monetization issues where you're not going to be making money off your video. And what I mean by that is just not having monetization on videos. So someone clicks skip, you're not going to be getting paid for it. And that's basically it. That's how you calculate your views. For the most part, yes, it is rough. If you're a YouTuber, it's rough to calculate exactly how much you're going to make unless the network you're with has some kind of dashboard or tracking system. It may be a little bit tough to track. But yeah, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Now, I'm also going to be touching on something else which I talked about in the beginning, and that is what kind of videos make the most money. Because after hearing this, you may be wondering, man, Connor, I'm not making as much money as I think I could be. So I'm going to tell you guys the kind of videos that make the most money. And there's also a little bit of genre that goes into this. So like the gaming genre may not make as much as the technology genre. And that's kind of what I've seen is the technology people on YouTube tend to make more money than the gamers just because the gaming market is so saturated with YouTubers. So genre does play a factor, but videos that are going to make you the most money are videos that people will watch multiple times. So if I do a video about, a grenade spot on a map, people are going to watch that once, maybe twice, so the replay factor isn't big, right? People are gonna see that and be like, all right, I'm gonna do that. The only time where they're gonna watch that again is if they didn't understand it, or they want to kind of, you know, see it again. So maybe 1, 2 views, you know, from an individual. 2 would be nice, but about 1 for that kind of video. For a let's play video where you and your friend are screwing around, that's going to get you 1 view from a person. Nobody really watches those twice. But if you have a guide, you know, maybe how to jailbreak an iPod, people are going to watch that 4, 5 times. You know, if they have trouble jailbreaking or they're redoing it, maybe even 10 times. You know, where I've personally watched, you know, jailbreaking videos from my iPod like 10 times. That's where the technology side of things comes, you know, very handy. Or, you know, the music side too, where people are going to be rewatching your video multiple times. That's going to bring in, you know, a lot more money. It's going to bear more fruit as far as, you know, how many views you can get from one person. And that's still going to be making you money even if the same person watches it 2 or 3 times. So, you know, educational videos where people are going to be learning how to do math are going to get you views as well, because people are going to be like, all right, I need to rewatch it. I need to learn that. So I think gaming as a genre, not only is it very saturated, so you're not going to be getting as good of a CPM, just kind of a generic idea, but also people, you know, it doesn't really have a high replayability factor, whereas some videos do. Reviews sometimes can have a higher replayability factor, but mainly guides, tutorials, you know, educational videos, music videos, those kind of things are going to have a high replayability. So if you're trying to optimize the amount of money you're making, the amount of views you're getting, think about something that people will need to watch. Not only want to watch, but need to watch multiple times to understand it. Not just because your video sucks, you need people to watch it multiple times, but just because it's a complicated idea. So, you know, if you're doing a review or you're doing I think guides are really just a great area. I've mentioned that a couple times now. Guides are great because people, they're going to mess it up a couple times. Like I've always messed up jailbreaking. I had to watch the same guy's guide 10 times, so he got 10 times the views from me, which is awesome. If you can get 10 times the views from everyone, you know, a 1,000 view video just became a 10,000 view video, which is just awesome. So, you know, think about that when you're making videos. I personally don't like to make, you know, guides for people on how to get more views, because it doesn't make sense. Like, why would I coach someone on something I'm still trying to perfect? You know, it doesn't make sense for me to do it. And I don't like when people do that. When you see a small channel trying to say, hey, this is how you get more views, if it's not really working for them or they're not there yet. So for me, I'm not going to be making a video on how to get more views because it doesn't make sense. I'm not there yet where I feel comfortable saying I'm big enough where I can give you advice. But just think about replayability. I think that'll help you out, and it just makes sense if you think about it. I've thought about YouTube a lot. It's kind of where I've been working for the past 2 or 3 years, and I've made, you know, my fair share of you know, impressions on people. So that's that, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found the video helpful in some way. And I know it's an awesome game for me. What do you guys think? Are you guys enjoying the game? I really like it, and I think it's a pretty fantastic game. So guys, that's it. Hopefully you enjoyed. Till next time, peace. Here's the outro, and I'll catch you guys later.